I represent the Gypsy people here in the UK, appointed by the organisations and Gypsy people of the UK, democratically elected to actually sit in the Council of Europe alongside of my other partners, to actually several times a year to deliver evidence to the Council of Europe, which goes directly into the pot of all the decision-making process around EU funding within Gypsy and Traveller development in the member states, and to give people an understanding that we can do this process ourselves, and we're actually helping with recommendations to countries to make things a lot better and a lot easier for us.
Right, well, let's get a bit closer to home then. So in this country you own or have been involved in setting up sites for gypsies, and indeed your own private site, which of course is Woodside, which I think you've been fighting for over 9 years, is it? Or?
Yeah, decade now.
It's been so
a full decade. When the actual Prime Minister came into power in 1997, when a Labour government took over, we've seen that as a marvellous opportunity to actually see a change in the country, for to actually start having our own sites more. So I actually, with another 27 other families, we bought Woodside between us, which was a caravan park, passed with full planning permission in 1990 for a touring park, intercontinental touring park. And we bought the property between us, moving on to it in 97, and thought we'd be given a lot of help by the government to actually do something for ourselves and pay our own way and not take no money from the state. But unfortunately we was hoodwinked into believing that should we put in for a change of use of the property with the local authorities, that it would make things a lot easier for us, but it was actually to get us on the slippery slide of courts, judges, barristers, solicitors, to completely take our life over. Take our money, our possessions, everything we owned, trashers and shredders, and a decade later, still on the roadside now with nowhere to live, no land, no money, no possessions, and lost everything, and virtually being completely degraded within society in regards of trying to make you look like you have no standing of any kind because you've been crushed. Well, the whole point of it was we only wanted to use the property as what it was originally given planning permission for in the first place, was to use it as a site to move on and off of when we felt like, because we owned it, it had legal planning permission. We wanted to use it as a touring park. But because it was passed for 152 caravans, the local authority felt that it would be far better if we could reduce the number of caravans and it would be more acceptable into the area. Well, we went along with all of this, but unfortunately it was a con. It was a con to get us started in the legal process, which actually just destroyed everything that we had already there for us.
So in other words, you're saying that they got you on there to be able to start a process to make you illegal there, so they could therefore take the land back, and it would become then they would repossess the land off you.
Well, what it actually is still, and it's something that I can be quite proud of saying, and I have challenged many people about the same thing. In 1990, the Town and Country Planning Act, section 178B, was passed to protect land use, but unfortunately has been used as a draconian measure against the Gypsy and Travelling community. And it has actually been used since 1990, and then further topped up by the Criminal Justice Act of 1994, fetched in by the Conservative government, to actually take the land off of Gypsies and Travellers by court proceedings, by court costs, by bailiff costs, by the cost of police forces coming in and attending with evictions. So the whole massive money making thing that's been done by eviction was done by that act. And then what has actually been done, I could take you today, or anybody who wants to doubt my word in any way, shape or form, to hundreds of bits of land around the UK since 1990, which has been taken off of Gypsies and Travellers under these proceedings, and now today they're building houses on. The local authorities has took this land, possessed it, and building houses on it today. And this act is still in place. In fact, this act is so much still in place that my son's just been served with this act last week, because he moved back to his own land in Woodside, and within 24 hours the local authority was allowed to go to a judge and get the same act, 1990 Town and Country Planning Act section 178B, and threaten my son with massive draconian measures against him, of taking his caravan off of him, taking his vehicle off of him, giving him a hefty court fine, and putting him and his wife in prison. Now that was really nasty and horrible to do to a young 19-year-old man and his wife with a little baby who only wanted somewhere to live. And you know what I mean, this act is still being done. So the whole point about this is they want to steal my land off me, take it away from me. They've took everything I own and they want the land as well. So that in some time in the future some developer will build a lot of houses on it and the money will go back into the economy.
Now this land that your son was being taken, well, being forced to leave, this is basically still your land.
Yes.
But you are not allowed to go on it.
No. In fact, the more that I've checked into it by asking legal different people, that they've dumped a big 20-ton earth mound in the gateway to the property, what I own. I can't even get access to my own land. What belongs to me, I can't even get on it, because the local authority has decided nobody's going on this land and they've closed the gateway up to it. So, you know, I mean, where is ever that right? If I'm not allowed to go on the land because I can't live on there, fair enough. You know, I mean, we have to obey by the laws that's laid out with us until they're changed. But surely am I not allowed to go on my own land? Is every farmer not allowed to go in his field? Is every owner of a property not allowed to walk through his gateway? Why should my gateway be blocked off because I'm a gypsy? They still seem to have this magic court order on the land that makes it unusable for anything. And yes, Phil, I have been fined heavily. It cost me, throughout the 10-year period, everything I owned. Tens of thousands of pounds in legal bills, which a lot of it did come out my own pocket, and I did have some different legal aid. But they put a £10,000 bill on me, which I'm paying back to them, which was fined to me by the courts, because I went there to represent my daughter-in-law. So they turned around and said, well, we'll fine Mr. Codona and charge me £10,000. And I never even said a word. I only went there to speak on behalf of my daughter-in-law. And this is what the things I've done to me. I've been crucified because I want to represent my people, because I want to get change and things done better for them. But they've tried to put all this weight on my shoulders so that I cannot get any credit, any credibility, anybody behind me to do anything, because they want me stamped into the ground.
And yet you've got the European government listening to you and taking your advice.
Because at the end of the day, Phil, one thing is one thing and reality is another. These draconian measures that is handed out against our community across the UK has been going on a long time. But at the same time, we have a lot of good people here in the UK who do want to do something and does want things to be right. And the bigger picture is what we do within Europe. So I'm seen as a substantial person in Europe with my other stakeholders to help and make change and have the conviction and the happiness and the joy to know things will be better. Even though that I've gone through this problem myself within the last decade or my lifetime. For too long, we've had too many people who wants to say, this is what the gypsy and travelling people want, this is how you do it, this is how it's going to be. Well, it's not going to be like that anymore. You have to ask us. We need to be part of the process. We need to say how we need to live, how we want our children to come up, how we want them to be educated. That should be our choice. And should be the choice of our young people. Settle communities understanding more that it's not what people's been telling them about us that is necessarily the truth. They need to speak to us. They need to speak to us, the community. We need to be able to communicate with each other so that they understand that we are after the same things in life as what they are.